Hello everyone, Elizabeth Quinn here again with Elizabeth's Scenes and Scents, and today I have a little bit of a different kind of a video for you. If you enjoy Christmas decorating or just decorating in general, I certainly do get into it this time of the year with gusto, and I thought it would be really nice to talk about building your collection of decor over time, because for many people, they get overwhelmed by that initial purchase or an initial theme, and you can certainly change it every single year if you're extremely adventurous, but people that are more like me, or maybe you're even more conservative than me, I like to build on my basics and just tweak it a little bit every year so that I enjoy something that's different, but I don't have to go out and buy everything new, and it all kind of cohesively melds together. So what I wanted to start with is, what is your favorite color? What is your favorite mood when it comes to decorating? You can take that and just tweak it for Christmas and take your own personality and style and the way that your house is, all kind of combine them together in a mixing bowl and come up with something that is extremely enjoyable and it's relaxing. You're not forcing it in your home. You can tell, if you guys have seen different things on my channel, that my house is pretty small. I like a lot of neutral colors and I like a lot of earth tones. So that makes it really easy for me to do woodland type decor for Christmas, or things that are on the traditional side but with a little bit of a rustic touch. And I've done all sorts of variations. Last year I did a really pretty theme, especially in my front room, with this gorgeous ribbon by Dee Stevens that was a black velvet with a gold lame backing, and it was just like a little skinny ribbon, and I added that to all the other things that I already had, but it just made everything fantastic, and I added black touches everywhere. Well, this year I knew I couldn't outdo that, so I went back to some old things that were in my collection that still inspire me, and a couple of new things that made it kind of cement my theme. So the first thing I want to show you, which really started my thought process this year, which is going to be green on green on green, except in the basement, and we're not going to talk about that one right now. That ended up going in a totally different direction, and that's okay too. That went red and white, almost kind of old school, not super vintage because I don't have a lot of that, but kind of with a vintage touch, almost like White Christmas. And it's beautiful, the movie, you know, the end of the movie with all the tinsel and the red and the white, and that's all going kind of on downstairs, and that will be a separate tour video, probably much closer to Christmas. But what really got me thinking, and this has been a favorite piece of my collection for years, this year, is this beautiful Pottery Barn pillow. I do not remember how many years ago this was new with Pottery Barn, and I got it, I believe, at the outlet that's about 45 minutes north of me here in Michigan. I have loved this for years. I love the textures, I love the colors, and something like this can be your statement piece that launches your entire theme for any kind of decorating project, and especially for Christmas. And then behind you, if I don't break it, I also found the plates. And these are a personal keepsake of mine, these beautiful Pottery Barn deer plates with all the woodland colors. You can see in here we even have a little bit of like a chartreuse screen and the pine and the white, and it's rustic. This is really what inspired my Christmas this year. And I don't want to break that, so I'm not going to put it back. And then the other thing is, you have to enjoy snooping around all of those beautiful florist shops that do the high-end Christmas trees, if you're like me at all. There's a place around here called Bordine's and another one called Heavenly Scent. Bordine's is a chain, Heavenly Scent is its own thing. Those are the two places where if I'm lacking inspiration or I just need that special piece, I go there, and almost invariably they're going to have the thing. So this year it was Heavenly Scent, and this, nobody has seen this yet, this is going to go in my front room. This beauty, joy to the world, and look, it's even got like wood grain. This is going to go on my mantle, and this has a partner, one of my favorite deer, and if you can't tell, deer are kind of my accent animal. Some people like elves, some people like snowmen, some people like to do the nativity or Santa. I'm a reindeer person. So this guy, you probably saw him last year. He was in the basement. This, I don't know if I can get these both in the frame at the same time. And this, yes, please. They are what really brought me with that pillow that I've had and loved into my place of, this is what I'm going to do this year. So in my back room, if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen my mushrooms and moss balls tree. And I found, I think these were actually from Anthropology, and I only do the little splurges on a few touches. I personally cannot afford to decorate my whole house in, Pottery Barn or Terrain or Crate and Barrel, but I try to add a few little pieces that make it extra fancy. So these little guys, these are little clips. These are all over my tree. These were from Anthropologie, and they'll use them year after year, and they've gone into a lot of decor in my back room. Now, I pushed the back room more of a mossy green and the front room more of a pine green. I haven't even decorated the front room yet. So I wanted to show you guys the ribbons that were the last thing that kind of cemented my scheme. Because if you're going to do trees and swags and wreaths and everything, ribbons are where if you're going to spend big bucks, you're really going to get return on your investment. So the first one that definitely caught my eye, and again, this was a Heavenly Scent, was from the company called Raz. I get a ton of my ribbons through them, either there or Bourdain's, from the company Raz, which has fantastic designer trees. Every year you can go and load all their things onto Pinterest, and you will be so inspired, and then you have to go to your local shops and figure out, are they going to be selling the things that you like that were in the different mood boards and all that kind of thing. So this ribbon, you guys. I mean, how could you say no to this ribbon? Look at this beautiful thing. And the most beautiful ribbons are usually going to be self-backed. This one's not, actually. And they're going to have wire so that they're easy to manipulate. So this one I haven't worked with yet. It's going to go into my large flocked white tree in the front, and who knows what else. And I got 2 rolls. Because here's the other thing. 10 yards of ribbon doesn't go as far as you think it's going to. I almost always buy a total of 20 yards unless I can't get it. And there are certain ribbons where maybe you get the last bolt and you're just going to make it work by mixing it with other things. But I fell in love with this. And I don't even know how wide this guy is. Let's see here. Does it say? No, it's not going to tell me how wide this is in where, oh, nope, 4 inches wide. So this is a pretty wide one. Very, very nice. And then the other one that went with it, which is what inspired my whole back room, is this gorgeous, I think 2 or 2.5 inch velvet with a sparkly back. And this is like chartreuse and moss, and I fell in love with this, you guys. Now for me, my tree in the back is reasonably thin, so I didn't want to put that huge, super aggressively wide ribbon on my smaller tree. So I've got a lot of this, and I also have a bay window that I have dressed with skinny garland, and then you put all sorts of floral picks in it. So here's another thing to invest in. So you've got your really nice ribbon. You have a few designer pieces that are statements or things from a quality place that you're going to use year after year. And then the last thing where I will spend money is good floral picks. So right now, this Norfolk pine is all the rage. I didn't get very much of it, and I really liked it flocked. So I got a few stems of this, and it's this droopy, drapey quality that this stuff has that I think people go crazy for. Personally, I like all sorts of different greens, so I didn't do a lot of this. This is probably going to go on the mantle, but you never know till you work with something exactly what you're going to do with it. And that's another thing. You do not have to know absolutely everything about your decorating plan, have it all, written in stone. Just kind of get a feel. And that's the other part about building year after year. Enjoy things, bring them back up into your rotation, and build and add almost like you're just creating a bigger library where you can pull different things that are all on the same subject, and it reinforces the theme. You do not have to go all out and have, like, some people, God bless them, and if this is what works for you, that's great, but they have everything written down to the absolute last detail, and then when you don't like what you've produced, you freak out. I'm not into that. You just kind of go with the flow, feel where it's going, and enjoy the ride. So let's see what else I've got over here. Now, I don't know if I'm going to use these because these are a much lighter green, but these are also from Heavenly Scent, but these are old. This is something that was in, I don't know, 5 to 10 years ago, but it's not like you can't use it. And you really never know until you're getting into an arrangement what sorts of textures would go together. I'm not recommending these two together, but you never know. And then next, what I have in here to make things a little bit more affordable is some stuff from Target. So you have the higher end type thing, then you can get something similar. This really isn't too bad, much less expensive at Target. Now this goes very well with the Frosted Norfolk that is a good bit pricier. So you can build where you put some of this cheaper stuff on the bottom, and you're gonna put this on the finishing layer on the top, and all of a sudden you have this gorgeous, what's in right now is very full green on green look without having broken the bank. So then another thing that I wanted to show you guys is if you have access to real greenery, it's harder to manage. You have to use it for smaller spaces of time. You can see I start decorating at the very beginning of November, but I live in a place where I've got lots and lots of cedar that I can access on my property. So this is a hack that I started with last year where I put floral foam into some of my nicest looking containers from summer. And then I build like little bushes, or if you wanted to curate it into a topiary, that's actually where I got the idea, was little topiaries that you could make out of any real green that was in a magazine. And I make a whole bunch of these and I put them around my house and then I water them. And because I have so much cedar personally, if these get really dried out like around Thanksgiving or after, I'll just remake them. And it was completely free except for my time. They make fantastic anchors for different arrangements. If you watch the things that I put on Instagram a couple weeks ago, I showed you my bay window with all of the beautiful greens. I've been collecting fake greens for years, put them into super cheapy garland base, like this kind of thing. Now the one that's in my window is not flocked, but this is just Walmart. I think of this almost like a flower frog base. So you'll put this wherever you want to do your arrangement where this is going to hold it. You could even put real greens into something like this if it's going to be short term. You're going to wire this down on whatever it is. You can do the top of your hutch, you can do your mantle, you can do whatever. And then you're going to run some lights if you want lights on all levels. Now, some people are only going to put lights at the top after they've done an arrangement. Personally, I like to run lights in the base and then touch it up with another layer of lights on the outside. And I'm going to talk to you about some different types. But this stuff, this is amazing. But it's not what you're going to see when you're done. So you're going to build off of that. So let's just show you how to do that. So here's another beautiful pick that I'm going to be using in the front room. These are smaller than the Norfolk pine, but they give you that same drippy drape, okay? So you're going to put these into your garland base. And then I also went to TJ Maxx and I cheated and kind of whacked up some really cheap, but I liked the foliage that was in them, picks, and made smaller ones out of it. And by the time that you're done layering these into this, then you put in your ribbons, you put in your lights, you're not even going to see the stuff underneath. It's a lot less expensive than getting your very, very luxury garlands, which if you can afford that, it's less work. But then you can rip all of this out, start with your base next year, and go with something totally different. So I feel as though sprays, which are larger picks that'll have like 3 or 4 liter branches, or the smaller picks like that, are the best bang for your buck, where you can reuse them in so many different ways in so many different times. It's just fantastic. So wanted to share this with you, and that has been my favorite hack. And then you put little lights in them and they're almost like little baby trees. You could put them all over your house, and you could do that with fake too, and then just store them and bring them out next year. So Target has some really nice little lights that are just nice gentle twinkle, or you can get the ones that don't twinkle. And then my other like aha moment is I've always been a white light purist on my trees. And I love the fancy snake lights. Those are the ones that have lots of little tiny pieces that come off of them. And then you kind of wind that into the trunk of your tree. But if those are too expensive and you're having a hard time with that, again, a place like Target will give these twinkle lights, which are so much better than the crazy ones from 20 years ago where they would twinkle and give you a heart attack. Run this down the base of your tree or put it in the base of your garland where you're not going to see a lot of it. And it's going to give you this beautiful shimmery quality. Then you build your floral arrangement of whatever type, stuff your tree, put all your picks into your base garland, and then you can finish it with either some of these little battery operated guys, which will give you light at the front of your arrangement and make it just really three-dimensional. Or you could just put in another regular string with green, or if you're working with flocked, maybe use white wire or white the white plastic. I guess this is wire too. I'm having a hard time with my words. And just think about how you can build and create something cohesive. So I have lots of green and white and lots of natural colors. You can see everything I'm holding up is within that color scheme because I'm going to use that year after year. Like the cute little bush that I showed you, I'll be making another one, maybe with some fancier greens that I do not have in my backyard. Closer to Christmas, like I love boxwood. What I showed you was just a cheap cedar from the backyard on some of our arborvitae type things. But you can use pine, you can use fir. Oh gosh, I've got this concolor fir in the back. I will be cutting that up, but closer to Christmas, I could put a whole bunch of this in here, or even a little bit of blue spruce, which is really wicked on your hands, but it looks gorgeous in a container. And that you can put the little lights on. And again, if you live in a northern climate, it's free. If you live in the south, you can find magnolia. The options are endless. So those are ways to reuse things, but the texture of this goes with everything else I've shown you. Now, you want to add a little bit of glam, even though I'm woodland, go with something, and this poor thing's been really beat up, but go with something that has a metallic sheen, and then put a bunch of things in it. Like you could put some sprays. Now, these are old. These are from Pier 1. You can put some sprays in here. And it's amazing how fast this will go together, okay? And then you're going to put in some filler, like we've got some jingle bells, some, again, this is Pier 1, Dearly Departed, some beautiful old acorns. Look, all of a sudden you have something beautiful. It took me 30 seconds, but I've been collecting and collecting all of these things for many, many years, and I will reuse them over and over and over again. You could put little lights in this. I mean, like I said, the options are just endless. So then to extend your theme, if you're going to go from room to room, I like to change my pillows, which I know is another investment, but on most of my furniture to go with whatever my Christmas theme is. So this year, again, Target is always where I find the most good stuff. This one is going to be an accent pillow on my beautiful article couch in the front. It's going to go with this. And these. This is Studio McGee. I had to order these because our Target in town doesn't ever carry any of that. Look at the texture on that, you guys. It's very mossy. These are going in my moss balls and mushrooms room in the back. And then don't forget the throws that also allow you to kind of, oops, I think I broke something, pull everything together. So this throw goes with the knitted Studio McGee pillows. And again, you have wonderful cuddly texture. And if you want to add a little bit of glam and really make it Christmassy, some fake fur is absolutely in order. I have a whole bunch of it, and when Pier 1 was in existence and it was easy to get to, and I know you can still order online, but it's not the same, I would buy a new fake fur piece every year. This is one of my favorites, and you can see that I had a lot of reindeer. This is so nice with deer and with outdoorsy things. Look how pretty it is with this. You know, it's just, you get your textures together. So let's say you aren't into woodland like I am and you want something totally different. Maybe you like candy stripes. So you want some solids, get a lot of reds and a lot of whites, maybe do different sheens and textures. For me, like something like this, I have a few of them. I've got tons of this kind of thing. So those will go into my trees. And, you know, I could talk and talk and talk about all the different things that you're considering for Christmas. But when you do a tree, like, let's go back to our candy theme. If you have a green tree, you could put a whole bunch of red and white ornaments near the trunk, just the big cheap ones that you get from like Michael's, that have a little bit of a shine. And you build with that twinkle light string that you're going to wrap down the middle. You build that base on the inside of your tree. Then you go to the next layer, which is going to be like your picks and ornaments that repeat. And then you're going to come to the outside layer, and you're going to put all the character ornaments on. You know, shove in little things like this. Isn't this cute? So stuff like this can go in your tree, guys. It doesn't have to just go on the table. Now this one, depending on the scale of your house, this might be a little large, but I have a small home. I really do not have a place for very large statement pieces. Like this guy. This guy's big for my house, whereas maybe you have a home where you have a lot of cathedral ceilings, you have very large windows, you have large scale furniture. He might be pretty small, so you might need to go with larger pieces that really make an impact. And that was the last thing that I really wanted to say was look at the scale of what you need in your space to create the right amount of drama, the right amount of focal point, like a certain place in the house where, let's say you've got your mantle, and you have all small objects in a very, very large space. You put up small tapers, you put up a small mirror, or maybe not a mirror at all. You put up, you know, little tiny garland, and then you're going to wonder, why is this not making an impact? So you want to literally increase the size and volume of everything as you're going up to a larger scale room, or decrease. Maybe your room feels like it's being suffocated because there's too much stuff or the pieces are too large. Maybe scale back a little bit. So let's go back to our red and white theme. So on your tree, you're going to have your reds and your whites, or maybe silver too, because that's reflective and that really adds a lot of depth in a tree. Then you would add maybe some candy stripe or polka dot ornaments, and then make sure there's a good number of them so they all tie in, and then add all of your accent ornaments. It's amazing how many family heirlooms you can still put on a tree and make it cohesive if your base is good. So you've got the red and white, maybe add some silver, then you've got your pattern ornaments, then you've got your your family heirloom ornaments, and then you have ribbon, and you have a tree topper and a tree skirt. If all of that works in the red, white, and silver department, you really will get a really cool theme. And then maybe you have some red pillows, you've got some candy stripe pillows, maybe you've got a couple that have a little bit of like glitter or snow accent, and all of that will bring it to life. And then greens, greens, greens. If you can get real things like that little pot that I showed you guys, it's amazing what a poinsettia or a basket of holly or a big bouquet of, I absolutely love magnolia, but being in the north, it's hard to get that at not a really rather pricey price point. All of those just breathe life into everything, especially if you didn't already have natural elements and a woodland theme to soften the edges of something that's, very, very graphic. Definitely add some greenery. So I hope that things were helpful. Oh, and then one more thing, because I could talk forever. Things like lighting. This is important. I'm going to turn this off. Of course, I'm a Scentsy consultant. You can see I've got one of my little guys down there in the baseboard. But lights of all kinds. This is from Menards. They keep carrying this year after year. These are incredible. I've hung them in places where it looks like they're floating. I've put them on my table. I've put them in the hutch. The soft, warm lighting that you add all over the house, and if you aren't into real candles, which we're not anymore, you can get all sorts of things that are battery operated. Layers of levels of light in the house, and then of course scent. And I wanted to say this before I got off. I've been struggling with what Scentsy scent I wanted to make kind of this year's theme, and I will kind of go room by room later and tell you guys more, but I have decided that with all this deep dark green that I've got going on, and of course all of my reindeer and all of my, snowy things, that Black Forest Pine is going to be my signature scent for this season. And when you see my front tree, I don't even know how it's going to turn out, like I already told you. You start with something and you kind of go with the flow. I think that we're going to find that this smell is going to be really, really spot on with everything that I have created. So I want you guys to have fun with this. Just as an example, I used to have another reindeer that was even more dated. His name was St. George the Magnificent. I resaled him. And then last year, this guy came along. So his name is St. George II, and you just can't take yourself too seriously. But like my sign says, down here, which along with my pillow was my real defining moment for my theme, joy to the world, the Lord has come, let earth receive its King. We have the most wonderful time to celebrate the birth of Christ, the joys of family, and I'm making a mess down here. So this is Elizabeth with Elizabeth Scenes and Scents. Enjoy your decorating, you guys. Build on it year after year. Go with the cohesive theme, and you will find that it's nowhere near as difficult as you thought to get a beautiful presentation in your decorating. And every year you can add more to it and get more and more confident and have more and more fun. Have a great day. St. George II says bye-bye.